What's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to another stream. Tonight's stream, we're doing something a little different. It's not a live stream of Reacting to Rugby. We've got a guest, the one and only, the legendary Two Cents Rugby, is joining me today. Mark, welcome. Good to have you.
G-Man.
I think it's the first time I'm actually hosting you. Normally we did a shared one and then on yours. So now, welcome to this side of the world.
Yeah, I'm in your house, man. It's looking good. I like what you've done with the place. But yeah, how's things going, man? You must be
Ah,
pretty
good,
pretty
good.
pumped.
Yeah, a bit busy, crazy. Rugby world that we're living in is quite democratic at the moment with, obviously, as we know, COVID, then Rassie, which we'll get into. A hell of a Lions tour. Now we all of a sudden have to get ready for Rugby Championship the very next week.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you haven't given us enough time to celebrate the bloody victory. Now
No,
we're on to the big tournament. But I'm not complaining. It's more rugby.
that's
I'm
true.
excited. It's going to be pumped.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre to have that really quick turnaround. You don't even
I,
have time to finish drinking your beer, and you've got to be getting ready for your next game.
I was arguing with a mate of mine. I just said, "No, man, the game's only in 2 weeks' time." And it's like, "No, it's this weekend." I said,
Uh,
"Shit, but we just won. Now we have
yeah,
to." I'm still behind time now, but who cares? It's more rugby for us.
yeah.
Not
Literally, not
complaining
even a
at
week
all.
off. It is. It is. I guess that's just the time we're living in at the moment, eh?
It is, and I mean, I don't know how long Argentina's been down here, but
Mm.
it's also you go to different provinces. So they're all where we are now in Port Elizabeth, so it's going to be interesting. The weather's not too bad. It's been quite chilly with a bit of rain yesterday, so the fields could be a
Yeah.
bit damp. But it's going to be interesting whether to see how the boys adapt to because it's quite an echoey stadium, Nelson Mandela Bay. So
Oh,
to see
really?
how they do um, with no crowd, it's going to be quite loud, I think. But
No, I
anyway,
called it Port Elizabeth in my video the other day, and people tell me Port Elizabeth is no longer Port
it's
Elizabeth. This
no
was
longer
kind of
Port
news to
Elizabeth.
me.
We changed it's called Tabeja. We changed our name about 3 months ago, so it's still Nelson Mandela Bay. It's still Nelson Mandela Bay,
Right,
but it's not Port Elizabeth anymore. So,
right.
crikey Moses. Everyone's confused, but it's still PE. We still call it that, but you do
Okay.
get in trouble if you don't
I'm
mention
gonna
the
have to
full
practice
name.
the clicks, man. I was literally
Nah,
watching you
you
videos
from
like on
overseas, you
how to
keep
do
going.
that. It's like I honestly feel like I'm pretty decent like with languages because I studied languages at uni. Like I'm pretty decent. At
Yep.
least I thought I was decent until I tried some of those, and it's just like Matt Pierce is amazing because he seems to
He's
be, at
brilliant.
least to my untrained ear, he seems to be able to do
Yeah.
them really well. So
No,
I'm
he
just
is
gonna
good,
have to.
especially when he gets overexcited and starts bringing in this to motivate the people. It is quite amazing. But yeah, people, I think of that generation, Matthew Pierce ages, they were taught that in school. We weren't,
Mm,
unfortunately. I would have loved
right.
to have learned the languages so we can
Mm,
also communicate. But anyway,
mm.
we'll see what happens. Right, let's kick off, guys. We'll
Sure.
get to you guys' questions as we go along. We'll try to. We've got a cap. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Lions recap. We're going to get into Rassie saga. We're going to get into the future of the Lions tournament because I think it's going to be interesting to see what people's thoughts are and standout players for the two of us. And then we head into this weekend, Bledisloe 2, Rugby Championship thing. So there's a lot of rugby to look forward to. So I think it's
For
going to be a
sure.
good one. Your thoughts on last week's game? South Africa taking it against the Lions. Tough game, close scoring. But Mornay staying 12 years later does it again. Can you believe it? Who would have thought?
I mean, that was the game, wasn't it? I mean, the tour had the first game had its kind of issues with the refereeing. The
Yes.
second game had its issues with the slow timekeeping and whatnot. But the third game, like that was the game we'd kind of been craving, and these two
Yeah.
sides were just neck and neck for so long. I don't get all the nonsense about this is boring from either side. Like I don't get it. I mean,
I
I
agree
know
with you.
I'm not a casual fan. Like as anyone who follows either of our channels probably knows. Like both of us will probably watch any rugby if it's on. So
Exactly.
I'm obviously not that target audience. But man, that was intense. It was like edge of your seat stuff the whole time. I mean, yeah, and the fairy tale thing with Mornay Steyn is like I don't talk to my wife about much rugby because she doesn't follow. All she knows is she knows the haka, she knows Bowden Barrett, She knows Damien McKenzie's smile. That's pretty much the limit of her rugby knowledge. And I was sitting her down as she was trying to get ready for bed one day, like, no, honey, like, you need to know, 12 years ago, this guy did the same thing. The odds of this happening again, like, it's unbelievable. The guy's 37. And she kind of like, yeah, okay, I want to go to sleep. But yeah, that's how pumped I was for it, man.
I was so chuffed for him. Although I mean, he's so well known in the Bulls. I said it in the first 2 weeks. I would have had him in already from the start. I think just from an experience point of view, that safety point of view, the safety net of Mornay, because we know he can kick. I thought that would have been a massive confidence booster for South Africa, and I just felt it was. I was glad they gave the other youngsters opportunities like
Mm,
Willemse and all of that, but is going on, we needed to have him in it, and so I was quite stoked to see him save for this last game, and even more happy for him to finish it off the way he did. I mean,
exactly.
his age, 12 years later, you don't hear of this. It is a fairy tale ending for him, and all credit to him. And he looked good.
Yeah,
He almost looked thinner and fitter than he did 12 years ago.
yeah.
So that was quite impressive for me. So well done to him. And I agree with you. I didn't find it boring at all. I found the attitudes of the people changed. We weren't as they weren't as negative or hatred towards South Africa because I was
Mm,
feeling we were getting quite a lot of heat, understandably. Those who agree or disagree with Russia's comments. But overall, I thought it was an interesting tournament. I missed the both agree on that. It was a big loss not having any support there.
mm,
Both Lions and South Africa,
yeah,
because the Lions always bring a red wave that is absolutely amazing.
for
And
sure.
I think the money lost in the tournament is also quite sad for the
Yeah,
small or businesses, guest houses, and all that who are relying so much on this. Have to wait another 12 years. Who knows where they'll be then?
that's
Especially in
right.
this time of COVID. So that was a big loss. But overall, I was happy with the tournament, and credit to both teams for fighting it out.
Yeah. I mean, for the Lions' perspective, how do you see it panning out? I know we're going to talk about the future of the Lions tours in general, but I mean,
Yeah.
what about Gats? Do you think Gats is kind of done with the Lions? He's been and done 3 tours as head coach. Has he got anything left to do, or do you think he's pretty much finished with
Yeah,
it?
I think time might be time. It might be time for a change. He's been involved. Wrong. I think he's phenomenal coach, phenomenally been around with them, and is an ambassador for the Lions. But he's been around for so many years now. Um, I'll bring in some fresh meat and see what they can do differently with this Lions tour. I think
Mm,
he closed a solid team. I think he made odd errors, not bringing some of the Welsh guys in a little earlier than expected. But
mm,
he could have done a few things differently. But again, he could have stuck with something similar and still won. It was a great team. Um, the North definitely were on fire. They played a lot of rugby. So I don't know. I would say I don't see him being there again. I mean, if he is, Cupid, he'll be breaking records.
yeah, that's right.
But I think it's time for fresh blood. Who? I don't know at this stage.
Yeah.
Will they go foreign again? Will they bring it back into the either Ireland, Scotland, or
Mm.
Wales and England? Or do you go like with Joe Schmidt, who was brilliant with Ireland a couple of years ago? I don't know. There's so many options. What do you think could happen?
I was talking to the rugby analyst about this the other day, and he made an interesting point that maybe the Lions, because I mean, with Gatland this time, he wasn't technically connected to any of the 4 teams. I know, obviously, we know his background from Wales, but technically, he was kind of an outside guy. He's not the coach of any of the 4 nations, and maybe that's what it needs to be. I don't know. Like maybe they need a full time coach who is looking at these guys a year in advance instead of just kind
Mm,
of cobbling the guys together. Because the one thing they always struggle with, and we all know they've got the talent, but it's bringing these guys together as a team. Like often the Lions don't get the best out of their players, right? Because these guys don't have that chemistry together. So
yeah,
maybe they need some kind of outside influence, like you said, like a Joe Schmidt is a good possible kind of example who knows that area of the world pretty well, and
Yeah.
he's out of the game for now, so he might be a guy to bring in. Or I mean, Scott Robertson is the guy who gets connected with any job ever, like in New
Yeah.
Zealand,
I
right? And
nearly
he just
mentioned his name.
yeah, he gets connected with if there's a vacancy or a person kind of not doing too well, like he is always nominated by everybody as the potential replacement. So. Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they do go with the traditional route of just kind of whoever's the hot property
Yeah.
at the time of the tour. Did this go with the England coach, Eddie Jones? Like, probably not. But yeah, maybe they do need to reevaluate they're doing it, because Gatland has always talked about, I don't get enough prep time, I don't get enough prep time, I don't get enough prep time. And yeah, maybe that's something they need to look at if they want these tours to kind of have a better success rate than what they've got.
I think that's the key to it, and I think they'll always need to have a mixture of north and south within your coaching staff, because they're going to bring some experience to the table, and all that. But yeah, Scott Robertson's an interesting one. I think it all depends on what happens with Ian Foster, and if the All Blacks continue to play, or sorry, not continue, if they hit a bump against the Australians this weekend, or against South Africa, or even Argentina. There'll be a lot of people calling for his head, and already they are, because of how close it got towards the end of that previous game. So I would definitely mix it up. I wouldn't go all European, because you need that experience, but I wouldn't also take out the hat of Jack White. He's achieving quite a lot down here, and I think he would love to go against South Africa, and just show us he's already beaten the SA squad with the Bulls. So
That's right.
why not take him through to there? So who knows? But it's going to be definitely an interesting one. And talking about coaches and all that, let's get to the Springbok one. Rassie Erasmus, oh, director, sorry. He
He's
wasn't coach,
director
but
of rugby.
slash
Be careful there. Be
water
careful.
boy, water boy, director. He's got a freaking caliber of everything. A resume, brilliant. But they say it was genius. Some say it was stupid. What was your take on his video, your thoughts, and all that?
I mean, when I first saw it, obviously it was different, man. You don't see this kind of thing
No.
from people in his position. And I mean, the main thing I took from it, like the number one thing I took from it, and I know every coach at different points has been frustrated with refereeing. I mean, Hansen still talks about the 27 Lions tour or 2017
Yeah.
Lions tour at times. Graham Henry still talks about 2007 Rugby World Cup at times. Like, clearly these guys have got this on their minds. But I think, at least I only watched it once. I think he was really pissed off at how slow World Rugby is to reply. And that's one thing that I think they do need to be a bit better, man. Come on, it's the Lions tour. It's second only to the World Cup, essentially, in terms of how many eyeballs you've got on the game.
Exactly.
And if Rassie's got concerns, and he's trying to do it by the kind of the formal proper framework, then you need to get back to him pretty quickly, because he made a good point, man. I've got training with my boys, like tomorrow. If I want to get the feedback on the way you guys are going to control the game, I need time to do that. If you're only going to get back to me several days later, then I don't have any time to prep my guys to kind of ship a sail. So that part is like I watched the whole video. Some things I thought, man, no, I don't really agree with him on that.
Yeah.
Some point I thought, no, that's a fair point. I was kind of down the middle. But yeah, in terms of what World Rugby need to be doing, man, like they're like I mentioned like it as a kind of like a government department, right? Who they're just sitting on the paperwork for ages because they can. It's not like a restaurant where if this restaurant gives you crap service, you can go to another one.
Exactly.
These are the only guys, and they just slow. It's like that's a universal thing, I think, around the world. Any government department always does stuff seemingly slowly. So World Rugby, I think if they'd given him answers quickly, I don't think he would have done that. The reaction to it though is all a bit. Oh man, it's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit political for my liking. Like I know some people really dig their politics, but like here in New Zealand, we got Jacinda Ardern. Some people love her, some people hate her. I'm kind of I'm down the middle. I like some of the stuff she does. Like, but this debate, I've never seen it quite this divisive in rugby, where it's either Rassie, everything he said was gold, and World Rugby need to just do as what he says because it's unfair, or Rassie is the worst guy to
Yeah,
he's ruining rugby ever. Like he's like Lord of the Rings Mordor. Like he's Sauron. You know, like he's
yeah,
just this evil villain. Like I don't think it's that extreme either way.
I
I
agree
think it
with
is
you.
it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, what do you reckon? I mean, you're South African, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm also two ways on it. I thought, the fact that he at least had some encouragement to call World Rugby out, I was spot on with him with that. I called them out, and I think so many other people have called them out. They are blinking slow at deciding what the hell's going to go on. Look at we still don't even know what's happening to us. They said this
Mm,
week. It's what's it, Friday today? We've heard nothing. And
mm,
how long are we going to wait? We're going to wait until after the international games. We're going to wait another week. They're still taking their time. Bill Beaumont, I think, is too old to even be the chairman of the thing. He should
mm,
have gone with Pusho in any case. It's not. It's frustrating. Um, but again, I don't think it should have been those people who are really hating on Rassie. I think that's kind of unnecessary. I understand the frustration part and how he's knocked the tournament, but with all due respect, I think every now and then a referee needs to be called out for mistakes that have been made. And like he said, if Gatlin wants to make the same video, do the same, he could have done it because there were mistakes that the Lions didn't get either. There were tackles that the Lions got hit on that Rassie didn't pull on either,
mm,
where one of our guys could have got a card or something like that. But there will always be like that in rugby, and I don't
mm,
know what they're going to do to change it.
mm,
Bring in a captain's referral, bring in a coach's referral. But there was already heat on Rassie being the water boy. But what also got me a bit is everyone hated on Rassie for what he did, but no one was really hating on Gatlin for what he did to Jonker. Um, like we said, I think we spoke just before that, it wasn't as bad, but it definitely had an impact in certain decisions. Do I say it changed the game? No, it definitely didn't. But it had certain impacts,
mm,
and no one was really going at Gatlin. Gatlin was allowed to
mm,
talk to the media. When Rassie at the end of the day was talking to the media, social
mm,
as well. But we could probably debate about this for days. I thought it
yeah.
was smart in a way. It's typical Rassie because he's known for doing things differently.
Mm,
Just I don't know what is going to happen to him now because they're saying he could be facing big charges, all this stuff. And I know he's taken full responsibility, but whether you like it or not, you're still part of SA Rugby, and I think SA Rugby
mm,
are going to get knocked in any case. But
mm.
politics in sport, I hate it with a passion.
No, me too, man. But I mean, it's interesting you say that about the Gatlin thing. I mean, Gatlin did the same thing, but in the old school way, right? Like,
Yes,
Rassie was direct, which is something we're not used to seeing.
no,
Gatland, I don't even think, I don't even think he was ever directly quoted as saying, "I'm annoyed
no,
that
true.
Yonka is the TMO." But obviously, I don't know if he personally let the word get out, but somehow word got out that he wasn't happy,
Yeah,
right? So he can sit there and say like, "Oh, but I didn't say anything. You know, I didn't say a word," and he's
yeah,
like technically correct, but the pressure is still there. And like he would often use phrases like, "We want to get clarity about this. We want to get clarity about that," instead of saying directly. You know what I mean? So it's, I mean, World Rugby in their statement, I think, kind of said both parties crossed the line a wee bit,
yeah.
so that they
I
do
think
need to
that ticked
maybe.
up Gatlin.
Yeah, that did. But I mean, he still applied the same pressure, like you say. But it was just his method wasn't as kind of out of the box as what we saw from Rassie. So I mean, I don't know what Gats truly said. I don't think any of us outside of that
Yeah,
camp did. But I think it would surprise me not one iota that it was kind of a deliberate pressure being applied to Marius Jonker. So yeah.
I was talking to a colleague of mine um, shortly after shortly after that video was released, and I actually said to him, this is the new world we're living in with the way technology is, social media. Look at us two. We are YouTubers
Mm,
doing following rugby and talking about it, giving our thoughts and opinions. We can also talk outspoken or get angry or say
mm,
things or go directly at a coach or a player or a referee
that's right.
and all that. These guys, Racing just did the same thing, type of thing, but in the new fashioned way rather than the old fashioned way. The only problem is you are quoted saying what you're saying and it's recorded and it's on
Mm,
the internet forever and ever. But to have thought of something for an hour long to create, and then to still send it out to the media, whoever sent it out to the big media, I don't know, because it kept talking directly to the four gentlemen involved. But I knew that was going to go. It would have got leaked. Something like that just
Well,
doesn't.
Rusty can use the same thing. Like Gatlin said, I never said anything about Marius Jonker. What he,
Yeah.
I think, said was like he expressed disappointment to World Rugby that they didn't have a backup plan. And Rusty can say, "Hey, I never meant that tape to go to go." I mean, he did mention Supersport a couple of times, but
Yes.
he can say, "No, I didn't leak it. It was Jaco Johan or it was whoever." You know, he can cross his heart and say, "Look, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was only meant for this private audience." So anyway, we'll kind of see what happens. But like you say, World Rugby is just they need to be clinical and get it done and show some direction instead of just kind of sitting on it and then everyone just argues about it on the internet.
Yeah. I think something definitely needs to be done from their side, and if they don't do it now, more of this is going to happen. I can see Eddie Jones pulling this type of card, especially now that someone's done it, because he's always been outspoken and says his say. And there could be a few others that might follow in the same direction to do it. So it's going to be interesting, and that brings me to my next point: is the future of the tournament. Has it affected or tarnished the British National Lions tournament, as some are saying? They will never look at the tournament the same. I know some are. I've read comments. I'm not even excited for the championship because of what Russia did, and now it's destroyed that even. What's your odd take? Me personally, I think rubbish. It's a new tournament. There's far too much history and experience that we've seen and memories of moments to be just destroyed because of an hour video of a coach or director talking about things that the referee did wrong and calling it out. So for me, I don't think it's destroyed. There's too much history in that jersey, from players, from coaches to moments. And also, let's not forget, New Zealand, Australia also have a hell of a lot of history. This isn't about South Africa. It's about the three nations that get to play against this iconic squad. So there's way too much history and memories to be tarnished, in my opinion.
I mean, this is not the first time there's been some kind of really negative thing going on. I mean, I remember the 2005 Lions tour. Umanga and I think it was Mealamu tackled O'Driscoll. They mucked his shoulder up for the rest of the tour. Woodward was there with his diagrams and stuff, and they were having a
Yeah,
really kind of negative kind of press campaign. And apparently, the atmosphere in the Lions camp was really negative. And I don't know, man. We got over it, right? I think everyone kind of lets it go to a degree. Like you say,
yeah,
man, like there's more rugby to come, and it's like the All Blacks and the Springboks going to play for 100th time. That is going to be massive. Like I don't even know where the All Blacks are at the moment compared to the Springboks. It's going to be fascinating. I just can't wait to see that happen. We haven't seen the Pumas play the Springboks since 2019. They've had a pretty good time since then. This is going to be a good test for them. So man, there's too much. There's too much going on. It's easy enough to be frustrated at the time, and to be honest, sometimes I'll be scrolling through like Twitter, which is a bit toxic at times. Then I'll see Lions and Springboks fans going at it, or like a New Zealand fan chirping in there, and I'm just like, nah, man, just like I don't need
yeah.
that. I'll put my phone down, watch the
Exactly.
highlights of the game, and suddenly I got the warm fuzzies back, and everything's kind of hunky dory.
That's exactly how I felt after the game on Saturday. It's just like the passion was there, the excitement was there. When we won, boom, it was a cracker, and I think that's what we just need to focus on going forward. And there's a few big names. I mean, I know Squidge gave his thoughts on it, and I think also mixed emotions. But I mean, him and Rassie are known to, well, Rassie shared his content,
That's right.
so. Um, he's known, and he mentioned that it's like if I see something good that I like, then I'm going to share it, type thing. So I think this tournament's got way more ahead of itself in order to bring us more memories. So I'd move forward and just see what happens. Yep. And then
100%.
the players wise, any standouts for you that really caught your eye, South Africa or even both Lions and all that stuff?
I mean, Etoje is kind of the obvious one for the Lions. He was pretty immense. He had a decent Six Nations as well, but was on the wrong side of the penalty count a bit too much.
Mm.
But it is harder to always look at the losing side and find those kind of key standouts. Like I was a bit sad that Wyn Jones didn't get a better crack, as he only got to play in that third game because he was injured for the first two when he'd kind of been in the form of his life. For the Springboks, there's a load of guys. Lacanio Arm continues to be just one
Yeah.
of the world's best 13s, man. Like, I mean, I remember it was only like, what, a year or, no, more than a year, a couple of years ago where people were saying it needs to be Jesse Creel.
Yes.
Lacanio Arm hasn't got what it takes, but man, like, come on, that's not even
He's
really a
proved everyone wrong,
conversation
eh?
at the moment, is it? But also, like, Trevor Nyakane. I love that guy, man. I've loved that
I
guy
love it.
for ages. He is such like he's always smiling. He's like one of the happiest
He's a
guys.
great
You,
spirited player.
he's so is. Man, I remember seeing an interview with him years ago, and he was just he called himself like fat, and was just like, "There's no point in me being like fat if I can't scrum or something." It was like hilarious stuff. Like he's so cool, so laid back. And the fact that he's gone from that kind of like taking himself a little bit as a joke, like mucking around guy, and now he is just this devastating guy, both sides of the scrum. Like I know there are
Yep.
other guys like Colby with it. We all know Colby is just so
Yeah.
devastating. But like Big Trev, like I could not be happier than I am for like Trevor to have that kind of series that he did, because like he's another guy that like throughout his career attracted quite a lot of flack from people. He's not good
Yes.
enough to play for the Springboks, but man, nobody is saying that now.
No. No, I think I've always had such a soft spot for him. I'll never forget watching him play against our cricket team, and he's got this helmet that doesn't fit his head. He was just full of it and dancing on the field. He's just got a great personality, and he brings that out on the field. And I think a lot of people are going, "Yo, he's not even making the Bulls starting lineup. Why is he playing in the Springboks?" And he just went on to prove them wrong. Played a cracking game. I won't lie, I was nervous, but I'm happy for him. But I was nervous to see what he would do. But he just did everything he needed to do in that last game when he stuck his tongue out with the passion. It just goes to show what it meant to him, and also pretty much saying to everyone, "Don't judge me, I could do it." Same with Mornay. He's too old. People still go for Stein. He's too fat. Um, there's so many other players there that also could be spoken about. But I agree with you. I'm 100% with Kanye. I think even with the Sharks, he never often stood out, but then produced the goods that he needed to, and was absolutely phenomenal. And I was chuffed for him. I think the leadership from the Sharks was also giving him more experience, and I think that's been outstanding. And hopefully that will continue to boost his career. Um, uh, it's a tough one to say who to pick out. Faf de Klerk wasn't on point for me. I think he could have had a better season. As far as the Lions, I think they should have given Farrell a bit more game time. I think he could have done something a little bit different. But Dan Bigger didn't have too bad of a series. But God, there's so many players who stood out, but
Yeah,
also so
it's
many players
tough.
who could have done more for me. I was expecting a lot more from the guys, um, uh, Conor Murray even, just from
Yeah,
the
true.
experience point of view. I know they gave Ali Price more of the game time, but it's just I know a lot was saying he wasn't even informed going into this tournament. How can we type allow him to play on it? But you know what? I thought the experience he could have brought would have been much more powerful. And putting the pressure on someone like Fuff, who's known for box kicking, but I find is not good at it, he could have put the pressure on Fuff a lot more and didn't. So that for me was a question mark. But as far as standouts, I agree. Kanye, I'm definitely 100%.
I mean, there's others as well. We could see
Yeah,
Khaleesi. I mean, Khaleesi
Sia
was,
had a phenomenal game, and I think
yeah.
that's the sad thing is, you know, what's South African rugby supporters, not all of us, but some of us, we were very quick to criticize our players, no matter who you are, but we take a long time to actually praise them for the work they've done. And Sia Khaleesi for me is one of them. I thought his leadership was strong. I thought he stood up for himself, even though the whole ref saga, he was on point, and I was impressed with how he played.
I
For
thought
once,
he visibly got more, just like his aura or his, I don't know, like he was, and especially in game three, man. Like
yes,
when Alan Wynn was trying to do his thing, like Sia Khaleesi was just like
not having it.
really eyeballing him, like nah, nah, not
Yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah,
Like
right.
yeah, I don't know. It was he always really impresses me, so I was pretty pleased for him. But yeah, like you mentioned, there's a heap of other guys as well that we could say. I mean, like you said, Colby had that wonder try. Mapimpi had a great try in game number two. Eben Etzebeth and Mostert were become big
Yeah,
old units. Diaka, I'm surprised how well he did, seeing as he'd been
yeah.
kind of injured for seemingly like the
I was quite
last two
shocked around too.
years. Yeah, so
But
heap of
yeah,
guys.
it's interesting because a lot of I could even say both teams also had players missing. Like for us, we had Big Dwayne. There was a whole lot of hype and talk that he was coming back for that second, the third and final, but it just wasn't to be the case. But I felt the others held their own in order to replace him. But yeah, Cleveland for me was he was phenomenal at the end, and he did that, but he didn't stand out as much as he did in, I'd say, the World Cup. I
Right.
would say the SAA game where he did that sidestep, pure class, and then the final game. The others a little bit shaky, but I mean he is the king. He's just been dominating France rugby, so I'll forgive him after that try
For
any
sure.
day of the week. But I was expecting a little bit more from him. My Pimpi was another player of pure class. They had their moments as well. So yeah, we could talk about this for days and on who stand out and who could be. But for me, overall, I thought the Lions tour was brilliant. I thought they brought us to the party, everything to the party from both sides. I think either team could have won. I think South Africa deservedly did win, whether you like us or not. Uh, Credit to the team who hasn't played rugby in a year and a half, and everyone will say you're gonna get thumped, you're gonna get whitewashed, you're gonna get this because your useless team is scared. And boom, they well done to them for not doing that, in my opinion. But overall, great tournament for me. Happy with the results. Just missed the crowd.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Alrighty, now we go into this the exciting tournament for me of the Rugby Championship, Players
Yeah.
World Cup. We've grown up watching it as fans, of respective nations. I could talk about this for days. There's no one game. What an interesting, as I say in South Africa, Afrikaans, Demakar, very confusing type thing with the whole the kicking of Australia was just shocking.
Yeah.
But credit to the boys for fighting back. All Blacks looked dominant in the haka, looked terrifying and passionate, but they weren't the All Blacks team that we all know and know as the dominated team in World Rugby.
Yeah. Yeah, they and Fozzie, he's not happy with it either. The way they kind of let their foot off the gas at the end. I mean, it's one of those ones where I maybe am being a bit disrespectful to Australia if I say the All Blacks took their foot off the gas,
Yeah,
because obviously the Aussies had to keep in the fight. Right, it's quite easy to kind of give up when they were as far back as they were. But yeah, one of the Aussie wingers, Andrew Callaway, has also kind of stirred up that fire, saying, "Yeah, the All Blacks don't really have the same aura they used to have." Which is, I mean, fair enough. He should be saying stuff like that. He should not be saying, "I don't think we can beat the All Blacks because we haven't beaten them since 1986 at Eden Park." Like,
yeah,
he's got to talk his team's chances up. But yeah, man, you look at this All Blacks team and you compare it to like the 2015 team. Like you look at Dan Carter, you look at Richie
sure.
McCaw, you look at Sam Whitelock when he was a bit younger. I mean, I'm not saying Sam Whitelock's bad, but he's the wrong side of 30. It's those guys in 2015. It doesn't. This current batch doesn't seem to have that kind of same oomph, does it? So, I mean, obviously, I still back the boys. I think they'll retain the Bledisloe pretty handily. I think they should be able to bounce back. I mentioned Fozzie's not happy. He's deliberately quite picked a very similar team from last week because I think
Yeah, I
he's
saw that.
telling them you need to do better than you did last week. Show me what else you've got otherwise. So yeah, I back them. Of course, I think they'll do the job fairly comfortably. But as I said, they didn't look like that kind of team that's just going to blow you
Mm,
off the park, and that team that just doesn't let you get up once they've got you down. Right? I mean,
exactly.
yeah, we've seen All Blacks teams blow other teams off the park before, but they were in the position to do that, and it didn't happen.
Exactly. There were lots of opportunities, and I think that could be the key for this weekend. The one thing with the All Blacks, they have one bad game, and then the next weekend they absolutely destroy the holy heck out of you. And my only fear for the Aussies is because the kicker missed so many kicks. Um, he might have a good boot this weekend, but the All Blacks are going to be so ticked off that they allowed Australia so close back that they're going to just want to dominate them this weekend and make sure they don't even get any form of points close. Because let's face
Yep.
it, if we kicked all these kicks over, the winners would have been Australia, and or it would have put more pressure on the All Blacks, and Australia could have
Sure.
done more. It could have gone the other way either. It could have made the All Blacks score more tries because they are on the downhill.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting game. I think they also need a little bit of a shake-up. I agree with you with what you say about the squads. I think overall maybe the All Blacks need a little bit of a, I don't want to say clean up because they're all just damn talented, but a new form of younger blood. Scott Robinson will mention him again. We'll probably mention him another time as we go along. But I think if the All Blacks can start off fresh with someone as experienced and as passionate as him, and bringing that energy into a younger All Black squad, which is the future, like we say, 2015. I mean, 2011 built into 2015, which was insane. All Black rugby is most dominant team for almost a decade. That needs to happen again, and I think that's the way they could do it: is start off fresh and bring in a lot of these youngers and take them to the next level.
Yeah, it's a weird one as well because you look at this All Blacks team at the moment, and there's a lot of positions where you look at it and you don't really know who is our kind of out and out number one guy in that position. Like
Yes.
we've got Artie Savia who's playing at eight. You could say he should probably be playing at seven. He's more of a seven. He's not kind of a natural eight. He's not like a big ball carrying unit. He's more of like a squirmy arms and elbows thing who just manages to power through people. It's different.
Yeah.
The number six, we've got Frizzell, who's been in trouble with off the field stuff. And then like Akira Iwane, who's kind of been criticized for his work. We don't have like it's Jerome Kino, like, that kind of simple as like that's the answer to the question. You know what I mean? Like you look at the
Yeah.
Springbok side, and I feel like most of the positions there's pretty clear guys. That's like Pollard is your 10. You don't have the Moonga Barrett debate in South Africa. It's
Yes.
definitely Pollard.
But
And then maybe there's a question that you should give more minutes to some other guys because if Pollard goes down, then what are you going to do? But
well,
yeah,
the
I
young
don't know.
person's knocking on the door.
True. And he's only 29. I just looked that up before we came on. I thought for
Yeah.
some reason surely he was older
He
than
was
that.
he was a lighty when he left us because of injuries, and then South Africa pretty much like turned their shoulder on him, and now he's come back after playing cracking rugby. So he's definitely talking and putting pressure on the Yankees, who unfortunately, in my eyes, is just we need another one to now compete with the Yankees because it's
Yeah.
just when he's in the green and gold, he's just not good enough
I
unless
talked
he's in
him
the
up,
Lions
man.
jersey.
Yankees, you've seen him do it, like you said, Lions jersey. You've seen Yankees do it time and time again. I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for that time where Elton is just going to absolutely kind of
Yeah.
throw the whole bag of tricks for the box. But you're right, like at international level, it's just never quite
I
clicked.
mean,
Eh?
Steve from Forever Sports, another South African YouTuber, he was saying he sings a man's praises, but he gets points on him. But unfortunately, we're not seeing it in the green and gold, which is the international. It's your big one. Sorry, if you're not performing, bye bye. We've seen so many other players like Kerwin Bosch not even get as many chances as
That's
what
right.
Yankees is getting. Why isn't Bosch not getting these chances? Again, another player I feel battles in the limelight of pressure. Sharks in a final. I just find just doesn't seem to be able to capitalize on it. But there's other guys coming around. But I would definitely throw Hurston back in the mix and see what he can do. And like you say, Pollard gets more time. If he's injured, we're back to having a guy who's been playing, let's say, Yankees, 20
Mm,
minutes a game.
mm.
Is that fair on him even to not
Yeah,
take on the head role
yeah.
and expect the pressure now back on him? So, yeah, it's an
And
interesting one.
Yankees is 31 as well. I saw some guy because I talked up Yankees in my preview for the game for this weekend, and someone was saying, "No, no, no, it's got to be Hussein," and I was like, "Why would you go for Hussein?" And I looked up the ages, and I was like, "Oh crap,
Yeah,
Hussein's actually a couple of years younger than Yankees." So
I forgot
that
that too, to be honest.
that does actually that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Ninaba keeps talking up Yankees and how he was that close to playing instead of Mornay staying in that third and final game, and it was literally the fact that Mornay had played that game before 12 years ago that kind of got him
I think
across the line.
he's
So
also has to say that
yeah,
with
he
all
has
due
to say that.
respect.
He's not going to say nah. I didn't even consider Elton because he's rubbish. So yeah,
At the end of the day, it's what a lot of South Africans were wanting, and the fact that he got the opportunity, great stuff. But going into the championship preview, let's go to this weekend's preview for the Bledisloe 2. It's Bledisloe 2 and Rugby Championship. Am I correct?
yes. It's one of those
It's not.
weird ones where it's like
Yes, thank
two
you.
kind of things. They kind of overlap. There's always one Bledisloe game which is outside of the Rugby Championship, which was the
The
game
start and the
last
end,
week. Yeah.
or something like
So
that. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Now, I just want to clarify that. Um, Now you've got more pressure on because now you're entering the official tournament as well as your Bledisloe Cup one.
Yeah,
Interesting squad's name. Like you said, All Blacks stuck with pretty much the same. Change
yeah.
in there. Australia obviously going to be hurting from the kicking. I think that's all they need to focus on this weekend. There's opportunities for that, but what are your thoughts for this weekend? Could we see an upset or a predictable, dominated All Black victory?
I mean, you mentioned before that the All Blacks often don't kind of have two bad games in a row. But it's the question is, was last week our bad game or was that our good game? Because it was kind of both at times, wasn't it? Like
Shit, yeah, good point.
the first half was a bit ugly from
Good
both
point.
sides. It kind of came right towards the end of the first half. And then second half, the All Blacks stepped it up a gear, but then just, took their foot off the gas. So I choose to believe that that was the All Blacks' lesser of the two performances. So I am confident. Am I confident? I'm hopeful that they're going to kind of back up and show Foster that yes, we are going to fight for you. We know you're in the last year of your contract. You are our coach. You're our leader, and you've picked us to show you and the country what we can do as All Blacks players, and we're going to do it. If the Aussies think we don't have this aura about us anymore, let's show them what we're about. That's what I choose to believe they're going to do.
Yeah.
But like you said, the Wallaby squad looks pretty good, man. I like the fact that that Swinton is there at 6 because they kind of need that guy who's got a bit of niggle or a bit of mongrel about him to get under your skin. And if there's one criticism that the All Blacks have got at the moment is that the forwards sometimes just seem a little bit soft. Like when we played Fiji, it was kind of a shock to the system. Like, holy crap, these guys are physical.
Exactly.
So I think Swinton could be a good addition to their squad there. But as I say, I choose to believe that the All Blacks are going to step it up a notch and they're going to show us an 80-minute performance and that it's going to be a long night at the office for the Wallabies. But what do you reckon, mate?
I think Australia had the chance last week. They didn't capitalise. And all I can say is good luck. Because I think All Blacks are going to be angry. They're going to be frustrated that they allowed the opportunities back. And like you said, it wasn't their worst game. There still were moments of brilliance of the tries. I mean, Mwanga was alert to get that try of his. The boys just were moving forward, getting the play. They were playing nice running rugby. I think we're going to see a 15-point plus victory for the All Blacks here. I think they're not going to allow this to bounce back. And also, they know South Africa have just won a Lions tournament. We've been waiting over, what's it, about a year? No, 2 years nearly, since these two teams have played each other. So since the World Cup. It's a long time, and now the All Blacks are going to want to send a message to the Springboks saying, "You won your little tournament in the Lions, but now wait till you meet us because we're going to give you a reminder of what you've missed in the past 1.5 years." So I think good luck, Australia. You're going to have a tough game. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, hopefully they get a good crowd for it because it's a bit weird one having it 2 weeks in a row at the
Yeah,
same ground. But I don't know. We'll see.
I, I think it's going to be good. Then we move on to the other championship one. South Africa taking on Argentina.
Mm,
Argentina are such an interesting team. I find they're so unpredictable. I love that nation. I just think they're so passionate and brilliant at what they do.
mm,
And when they win, I think everyone's happy for them, even if
yeah,
they
for
beat your
sure.
own country. Like I know, happened
Mm,
last year. It happened the year before for us. Um, they never give up. Attitude is special to watch, and the fact that again we haven't played them in a long time, we might have forgotten what they would do. We've seen the North play a lot of Six Nations, two Six Nations, and the Autumn Nations Cup, been great. But we haven't seen a lot of Argentina. We've seen
mm.
moments. We've seen. I think it's going to be a tough one to predict and handle. They've obviously we've just come off the good three-test series with the Lions, but can never count on these Argentines. I think what they're going to bring is just going to be something different and surprise us. We all thought they were going to get walloped last year, but they had the kahunas to at least go over and attend, which we didn't. So, and they're going to also want to show that South Africa, you missed out. We at least played the All Blacks. We beat the All Blacks. Watch us do the same to you in your own home ground.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not the case, but I think it's going to be an intense game. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a weird one because Argentina's recent record, if you just look at it at face value, is pretty good. Like last year, like you said, beat the All Blacks. Then they got hammered by the All Blacks in the second game. That's what we're talking about. The All Blacks kind of 2 games in a row thing. 2 draws with Australia in Australia, not bad. And then this year, I think they played Romania. I don't know if you watched that game, but that was a tough watch from Argentina, man. They struggled. They struggled
Yeah, yeah.
against Romania.
I didn't see that one, but I heard it and I followed the
Yeah,
stats.
it
It's
was
close.
uh, it was not pretty reading. I mean, obviously the Romanians were pretty pumped up to be playing a big team like Argentina, but and then drew with Wales and then beat
And it wasn't
Wales.
like that a weak squad.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround for them. So yeah, it's a hard one to say. They've picked a pretty bloody strong team. I had a look at it
Yes.
earlier today, and it was like largely kind of the same faces that we saw, get a win over Wales in Wales, albeit Wales without their Lions guys, but.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah, I mean, the Mario Ledesma kind of talked up the fact that they've had to go from kind of bubble to bubble to bubble. These guys have been in hotel rooms and whatnot, but we've seen that the Argentinians had that last time they beat the All Blacks. The Springboks guys had the lockdown with their COVID cases after the Georgia game, and then before like they were able to kind of bounce back for the SAA game pretty quickly and whatnot. So, yeah, I think the Pumas guys could be a bit of a handful, but I can't imagine a Jacques Ninaba and Rassie Erasmus team to be any way underprepared, man. They've got too many veterans in the side, a few younger guys, so yeah, I still think they'll be favourites.
Yeah, I think will definitely be the case. Also, they're at home. They've been playing at home for a few weeks now. Yes, it's a different stadium. Man alive, I wish I was there.
Mm.
Um, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be an intense one. South Africa obviously made their changes, which is going to be interesting. Like we said, Yankees is starting, a few changes here and there. Good opportunity for the guys who didn't get as much game time to show. Shocker! I actually didn't pick me for the Lions, but now I want to play against the All Blacks,
Mm.
and this is what I'm going to do in order to achieve it. So, yeah, I'm still baffled. Well, not baffled, but getting with how we've crossed over so quickly, and it's going to be interesting to see how the team adapts. But the fact that we've just played 3 hard games of rugby, I think is definitely going to give us the momentum ahead, the comfort, the experience, if I could say, for these 2 tests against Argentina. And I think we will definitely be favourites. But yes, we've got to be awake and sharp. I mean, Argentina can creep from behind. They can do something different in order to achieve their winning results, and they're not going to forget last year either. So I think it's going to be an intense one, but I'm definitely going South Africa to pick up a victory on this one as well. It should be an interesting one. Maybe this week we'll see close. Next week, pretty much like what we're saying with Australia and New Zealand. Or it's just going to be intense, or a walkover and a walkover. I hope
Yeah, I
not a
mean
walkover. I like it more close.
the Pumas guys have got the same shot that the Aussies have got, right? And that they get two bites at it to try and get a win
Yeah.
over South Africa and South Africa, which is a pretty hard thing for them to do. But I think, yeah, I looked at the history. I think they've done it once, so yeah, we'll see if they can do it again.
And I think back to that question with number 10 or the kicking. If Alton's not kicking well, Argentina need to capitalize. If they don't capitalize like what the Aussies didn't do, same thing. I think you miss out your opportunity. You're
Oh, yeah,
gonna
for
get
sure.
you tonked.
If you're going to beat the All Blacks in New Zealand or the Springboks in South Africa, I mean, especially the Springboks now. There was a short time when the Springboks, were a bit of a shadow of themselves, but thankfully
Yes.
with Rassie and whatnot, I kind of back. It is a scary place to go now. You know what I mean? So if you're going to play the All Blacks here or the Springboks at home, you need to be making a few errors, right? You need to be taking your goal kicks. You need to be getting them. You need to be getting your
Yeah.
line outs. Like most things have to go according to plan. If you're kind of a bit off, then like the Aussies last week, you're not gonna get the result.
Yeah. Spot on. Again, another thing that's been back in now the Rugby Championship, not the Tri Nations, is the no crowd saga. But we still have crowds in certain other places, which is going to be absolutely fascinating for a team to be a part of. Is you go from full on crowd in New Zealand to South Africa, where it's going to be quiet as hell. You can hear each other, and maybe some of the media guys get excited. But do you think that's going to have any impact with the tournament itself? I know we spoke about it with the Lions, but the confusion of having it, because let's talk South Africa, Argentina, and probably even Australia. Well, I don't know about Australia if they're going there or not, but you're going from dead silence this weekend. A couple of weeks' time, we fly over to New Zealand, play some cracking rugby there, but we now booed, not cheered. But it's going to, must be confusing for the players, but all they'll just drown it out.
I think it has to make a difference, man. It'd actually be an interesting one to go and have a look at, like the scoreline differences when there's a crowd and when there's no crowd. It's got to be worth at least a couple of points. Like if there's a game that's going absolutely down to the wire, and
Yeah,
you've got that crowd
exactly.
cheering you on, and it's not just the crowd on their own players or the opposition players. It can even be the ref, right? Sometimes the ref
True.
maybe
There
not
we
going to
go.
be look at something, and then the crowd sees something, they
We're
all just
famous for that in South
erupt.
Africa.
Exactly right. And then the referee gives a little A to the TMO, just check that while they let's play on. And then, so there's definitely advantage to the All Blacks for their home games. The Aussies have got the ultimate one because I think they've got all but one of their games, all but this week's game are at home. So yeah, it's tough for the Pumas guys. No home games. It's
Yeah.
tough for the Springboks to only play two home games and then without the crowds. So it's kind of that rank of difficulty, isn't it? Like if the Pumas could win this competition, having played no home games, that would be one of the greatest
Outstanding.
sporting achievements of all time.
There we go.
If the Springboks can get it done despite playing two home games, no crowd, and then four away games, that would also be phenomenal. But the odds, I think, are just that little bit further stacked against them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's if we look at the other sports like football, for example, the Euro 2020. I mean, some of the games were played with no crowd, some of them with crowd. You definitely saw the passion come out from the players when they scored a goal or did something right, and the crowd were cheering them or booing them or getting that electricity out there. I mean, we can talk as fans going out in the stadium and you're walking out and you hear that cheer, or you see so many people. I get goosebumps galore, just feeling that energy. And I think it could go either way for South Africa. Maybe we will enjoy the boo. maybe we're going to be expecting the boo because of all this drama with Rassie, because I know there's a lot of New Zealanders and Aussies that are also the howling with us for what we did with Rassie. So we could be the enemies and then thrive off it. We've been there before. I won't say we're good at it, but we could be this time round because we were the ones who weren't brave enough to come face you guys last year. And whether you like it or not, or argue about safety or health, at the end of the day, Argentina did still go. We didn't. And at first I was for, but I look back, I still think we missed an opportunity there to be even better and stronger than what we were against this Lions squad. So I think the crowds are going to be insane. I think it's going to be confusing in PE, but when we go to play the All Blacks, I mean, obviously Australia is going to be just as intense, but we've been hungry for the All Blacks both ways, and I think that crowd is just going to be immense. And I hope for the sake of the sport that nothing happens with regards to a COVID breakout, and we have to see us either postponed or messianic games because that would be so unfortunate for us.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly right. Fortunately, if everything does go according to plan, there's quite a lot of expat South Africans here in New Zealand, and anytime I go to I'll be going to a Blues against Reds game, and I'll see some guy with a Stormers jersey. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here in a Stormers jersey, man? So, yeah, there's certainly a heap of South
I'll be
Africans
just
here.
said it. I'll cheer for the Box in Dunedin and Auckland. So
Yeah,
there's already one.
yeah,
So I, th- I
exactly.
think that's the beauty of it. We do have quite a lot of South Africans here. I know I've got my mom's cousins who are living there, and a few other people. So there will be support, and also they'll be
Yeah,
hungry to watch the Springboks. They haven't seen the Springboks since we
exactly.
become world champions, since we beat the Lions. So there's going to be a lot of intensity and electricity, and I think the players will be looking forward to that. And I think it's just going to be uh, phenomenal to see again. Which brings me to another point before we get to you guys have questions. But what are you looking forward to seeing, or the biggest outcome out of this tournament for the Rugby Championship? We obviously saw total different type of tournament last year. So much has happened since we last met. What for you stands out, or you're looking forward to the most?
I mean, I am looking forward. I know the All Blacks against the Springboks is always massive, but the fact that it's the 100th game and the fact that it's seemingly this just kind of clash. I mean, I know a lot of it's kind of off the field nonsense, but the All Blacks get talked up as this super kind of exciting team to watch. If you'd watched last week's first half, I don't think you would have known that if you weren't any kind of particular fan of rugby. And then the Springboks are getting labelled as this boring team. Like, and I've already said that I don't agree with that at all, but I can't wait to see these guys go head to head because I mean technically the coaches are still kind of both rookies, Jacques and Ian Foster. Fozzie's had last season as well, but
Yeah, true.
Rassie is still there, kind of as the guy to kind of guide and help Jacques along the way. So that kind of coaching pedigree is always more. It's more established in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's kind of rock solid, whereas the All Blacks still seem a bit shaky. So I am dead keen to see how the All Blacks can handle the assault of these big Springbok units. I'm also keen to see how the Wallabies continue to go because their side is still pretty young.
Yeah.
They are learning. I do feel like they could use a good competition. They were a bit disappointing last year. They were at home and they finished third of three
Yeah.
teams. So yeah, I know Dave Rennie's kind of laying the platform to build towards the Rugby World Cup. So yeah, I'm keen to see how they go. The Pumas, as we talked about, they've kind of proven themselves last year. But again, Mario Ledesma talked about it as well. Like they're not looking at last year and saying, right,
Yeah.
job's done. We're a good team now. Like you need to keep up. You can't go and get the wooden spoon and then expect to kind of keep that kind of same level. So yeah, man. I mean, if there's one thing it's the Springboks and the All Blacks, man. Absolutely, by a mile. I'm just so keen. If the All Blacks get hammered or if they get really bullied around, then I think serious questions need to be asked about
Yeah,
what's going on with the All Blacks setup. But if the All Blacks come and and put in a good performance and win at home as they should, then I think Ian Foster earns himself 2 more years.
yeah. I think this is going to be Foster's big decider of whether it's a make or break going into it. But spot on. All Blacks, Springboks. I cannot wait. The excitement is actually just mental right now for it because the last time we met was the World Cup, and it wasn't a hot game. It's South
No.
Africa just didn't show up, and I think as a team we've grown up since then. Since even the Rugby Championship where we won it, we've grown up and we moving in into something quite unique and special. And the All Blacks haven't felt that yet from South Africa. They're just thinking, mate, it's the team we still beat in the World Cup. Technically, give us championship type thing. And we also defending Rugby Championship champions. I know Six Nations was there, but, sorry, Tri Nations,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, the Springboks are taking photos with our three trophies at our stadium, yeah, and that's how we're going to play it, which is something different. You don't normally see us rubbing that in too much. So they're definitely going in with a different attitude of reminding people who we are or what we did under the circumstances of how many people um, were against us or said we're going to get nowhere. I'm excited to see what they could do. But again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll probably repeat myself 20 times on this. That team you cannot allow back in the last 20 minutes. If the Springboks sit back, or if the bomb squad, or whoever the hell's on that bench do not do their job, goodbye to South Africa, because the All Blacks are going to be good. But Australia, I can't wait to play them again. It's been a hell of a long time since we've had that rivalry as well, and that was unpredictable. One minute they might be bad against you guys, but watch them show up against us and give us a good whack. Same with Argentina. Could do the same thing, vice versa. I'm excited to see what they bring and what they have to offer all four nations, because I think right now with COVID-19, with all the uncertainty in the air, all the drama, no one knows what's going to happen. It's not as predictable as we go, oh, the All Blacks are going to, oh, we're going to win it again. You can't actually talk like that anymore. It's who the hell's going to win?
That's right.
Any team can show up, any team can disappoint. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully it's close. Hopefully it's a close competition where it's like
Yes,
goes down to the final weekend, the final game. That's what I want.
I agree. All right, guys, if you got our points down, anything you want to add to that 2 cents before we get into the questions? Yeah,
I did see Tim dropped a super chat earlier and told one of us to change our jersey. He
I think
said,
it was
"Please
you.
take." He told to please take that jersey off. I guess yeah. I guess he's telling me to take that jersey off. I do have an England one sitting over there somewhere, Tim. Maybe I'll put that on later.
I'll keep the South African one on, please.
Oh, under here I've got
We'll put it
another
on the
South
line,
African
then.
one,
It's
so
fine.
I'm all South Africa at the moment, man.
There we go. There we go. I see Teto has asked, will rugby's potential actions are actually be good for the game? We have to wait and see. I don't think anyone's got a clue on what they're going to do to them. I don't have a cooking clue of what they could do. Uh, I think the biggest punishment for Rassie would be saying, "Sorry, Boyki, you are not going to Australasia for the Rugby Championship." That will be a big loss. No water boy,
Yeah,
no mind games. I think that will hurt South Africa, but it could also be a good thing because it gives Jacques an opportunity
to
to
shine.
to
Yeah,
shine and have that limelight. Because currently, right now, we're always talking about Rassie Erasmus. We're not
that's right.
talking about the head coach of Springboks. So it could work either way on that one. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Trying to see what else. What's your okay? We've spoken about Rassie Keen. So once the stream's done, you can go back to the start. We've got the whole saga on our thoughts on Rassie. It's going to be to set your thoughts on Nkosi and Fassi starting on the wings.
Bro. I love it that there's a team where you can be like, I don't want to play Colby and Mapimpi this week. Oh, who are we going to bring in? Oh, just fussy and Nkosi, like that shows some serious
Of course,
depth,
he's one of
man.
my
And
favorite. He is my favorite player.
yeah,
I love the kid. I rate him highly. I think he's outstanding. I'm so excited. And then Fussy, another Sharky. I mean, jeepers, the boy's quick. The boy's brilliant.
yeah.
And he doesn't need to play wing. He can play fullback too. Got backups.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Fussy is one of those guys that, like, because I don't watch much of the Curry Cup, that he's one of those guys that people told me, like, going into, I think, the last Super Rugby season that got called off.
mm,
He was one of those guys where people were like, you need to watch out for this guy. Like, this guy is amazing. And then that's when the Sharks went on, when they're going on some great run in Super Rugby pre-pandemic, and then the whole thing got called off. Like, Fussy was doing amazing, and the
yeah.
Humble was yeah, it was all going right for the Sharks before the whole world went wrong. But yeah, man, like those guys are just like lightning. Fussy is really good under the high ball. And Corsi is just like, I want to get a smile from that guy at some point. Occasionally he does crack like a slight smile after he scores a try, but there's very little that seems to get that guy emotional. But man, he's powerful as well. Like he doesn't look like he should be able to, I guess kind of like Colby, but a different kind of power. Like Colby seems to have a great fend, and Corsi just seems to be able to go through people at times, which doesn't seem to make sense given he's not a huge man. But
Yeah.
anyway, I love both of them. They're both really fun guys to watch.
I think they're going to be very interesting to watch. I mean, they'll give the Argentines, I mean, as we know, named a phenomenal squad. It's going to be it's going to be interesting to predict how these boy kids are going to play. But there's been a couple more before we let 2 cents go, because obviously it is night time for you blokes in Australia. By the way, H-Tex just reminded me while we're live, yeah, shout out to everyone for the support on that Springbok flag bearer tweet I did. Jeepers Yokes win, man, including Squids Rugby and all those guys. Um, SA Rugby have commented to me. They haven't acknowledged anything. The worry is COVID for now, but who knows what next week could happen. So nothing will happen this weekend. But next weekend, so keep talking, keep chirping. You guys started something, so let's keep it going. Um, Fleshly says, will Rusty carry on as water boy in the championship? I think if they don't punish him, yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't really have a problem with it, man. Like, he's not the first guy to send signals onto the field by whatever means, man. Like, yeah, that one's kind of a mountain out of a molehill. From mine, I don't think that's a biggie. So, yeah, let him do it, man. H2O
Couldn't agree
specialist.
more. And last one, Marlon, yeah, he says, 2 cents, why don't New Zealand have a proper bruiser like Jerome Kane or Ruben Thorne, like Peter Steffel, Dupreez? I think New Zealand, I personally think New Zealand's suffering from not playing SA, especially in the forwards.
It's a good question, man, and it's one that's being raised over here as well, is that we don't have that kind of Jerome kind of like we're using Akira Iwane, who is kind of I feel like he's not that far away.
Mm,
He's one of those guys that seemingly got back in the All Blacks' good graces. Like Steve Hansen directly called him out once, Akira Iwane, and basically said something like, "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink," as if to say,
yeah,
"I've told him what he needs to do." And the All Blacks coaches never really chuck guys under the bus like that. So he seems to be slowly getting into the good graces, but he does need to probably hit a few more rucks and improve that kind of work rate and show a bit more disregard for his own body, because that's what the best guys on the blind side can do. Likewise, Frizzell was maybe kind of exposed a little bit in recent times. So yeah, we are seemingly kind of missing that big unit in number
yeah.
6. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. The All Blacks management seem to be still tinkering and finding what the best solution is for that back row. So I'm not sure even they have the answer as yet.
There we go. Couldn't agree more. And the last one, this will be, I think Latorio has asked from Argentina, or asked me, G-Man, what's your opinion on the Argentina squad for the game against the Springboks? They've got a good squad. I think it's brilliant. They've named the big boys. There's experience, there's class, there's just genius in it. Definitely not taking Argentina lightly. We got to be. We just come off Alliance Series win, great stuff. But now that's in the past. Now you got to focus on a whole new ball game, a whole new type of rugby, a whole new type of skill play. Argentina, always nervous of you guys, but I love them. So I think it's going to be a classic, emotional, hard fought game because it's been so long that the four nations from the south have reunited. So I'm excited. I think we're going to have a good one. And then just last one here, Hayden's just asked, do you think the All Blacks have a good enough front row to face the Springboks? I think that's pretty solid.
I
But
mean,
interesting.
yeah, the All Blacks front row hasn't really been kind of bossing teams around in recent times like we are kind of used to them doing.
Yeah.
I do look at the way the bomb squad bench came on, like Inyakane, Marks, and Koch came on and really put the wood on the Lions. So that is obviously a bit worrying. We've got a couple of our main props, and Moody and Tuangafasi, who are still kind of coming back for injury. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say they're not good enough, but I would say it's an area where there's maybe a bit of vulnerability. I wouldn't say it's like full on, but like the South Africans will certainly back themselves to try and push these guys around for sure. I see the rugby analyst here as well. You should have a chat with him at some time too, G man. He reckons
Definitely.
I'll look good in the England jersey. I'm sure I always look
Yeah.
good in
So
England
that.
jersey. England
Uh,
jerseys and Wallabies jerseys. Those are the main two. If I put those on, always a comment from somebody. How can you wear England, man? How can you wear
I've
Australia?
got an All
Those are the
Black one, which
two.
I should have worn today to do the opposite of you wearing South Africa. I go All Black
True.
one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was wearing something yellow the other day. And all the Aussie people who follow me go, yes, you look good in yellow. I'm like, but anyway, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for today. We've covered as much as we can from championship to the Lions, so please be sure to see it out. Um, the rose brings out your eyes, analyst says. The links are below for 2 cents. Please go check him out. I'm sure all of you all have already. Hit that subscribe button. He will have a stream this weekend as well as me. So go show love to the all the YouTubers out there who are putting out the work. We're definitely getting noticed in the media, thanks to Rassie as well, for shouting out Squidge, because our names are getting heard. So
Yeah.
let's hope it continues to grow. But to everyone here who's joined us, thank you so much. It has been awesome, Mark. It has been phenomenal catching up with you again. We must do
Absolutely.
this more often because that's what the people want. So
For sure.
I could talk for years and years about all of this. So it's going to be awesome. So to all of you, thanks for watching. We'll keep you up to date over the weekend. May the best team win this weekend out of the All Blacks versus Australia and Springboks versus Argentina. Give it horns. Let's just hope no drama, no cards, nothing. Just quality rugby, good tries. So that's going to do it. Thanks so much, guys. Stay safe, never give up, and we'll see you soon for another one. Cheers.